Simeon, Aptowitzer, SDR, BTLB. I don't know if, I just giving you a rundown of BTLB. It's just a subsidiary of BT. We are licensed to sell BT products and we do work with BT closely as well. It's obviously a great thing to have in your CV. In terms of me, my professional background, so I started off working at the age of 16. I remember my boy said, let's get a job. So I worked at Grace for the first year, 2 years, got a nice moped. Always one of the nice things in life. So then done that through college, A-levels, done my A-levels. Studied electrical mechanical engineering, got a 2-1 in that, which was alright. Ready to go really. I was trying to do that control systems, which I got a placement at Siemens, but I actually lost that placement due to COVID. They let me go 2 weeks in, which is unfortunate, but I'm sure everybody's had their own experiences with COVID, right? So then that led me into Five Guys, actually. I started to work, just flipping burgers, literally, just to get by. I was good at my job, so they kind of pushed me up the ladder. Just kind of went up from there, from supervisor to assistant manager. Done Marco Pierre White, done quite a good number of places, and I just got sick of it. I'll be honest. It got enough. When you kind of do the same thing over and over again, you work harder than everybody else, but you don't get compensated for it, essentially. You get tired of that. So I was like, all right, I need to get into sales. That's exactly where you need to be if you have that type of mindset.
Nando's, right?
No, so there was Truffle Burger, Gourmet Burger Kitchen, Five Guys, Marco Pierre White Steakhouse. So just a few places. Nando's reached out to me, but I wasn't going to work. It's too much work. I was like, I need to get into some tech. And that's how I found Jack.
You misspelled Rogers, but
I saw it. I was like, I swear that's not
Brendan Rogers.
I knew that wasn't the right spelling. I googled how to get into tech because I knew I wanted to sell in tech, right? Literally perfect alignment of Entr Tech and myself. Obviously we all know the price of Entr Tech, and it's not cheap, and you got to really kind of take that risk, take that jump, and then crack down every single day is a job in itself. Looking for a job, 6 months again, and the story with this LB specifically, I remember I was on LinkedIn every day as you do, and then I saw a post from Wedge, and it was like this group of 7 guys, and it was just like, you're from this country, I was like, wow, that's so much diversity. And then nowadays you don't really see much diversity, so I was like, I would love to work for that company, and then lo and behold, stars align, and here we are. So grateful, obviously, of course. And
how did you reach out to me?
How did I reach out? Send them a video. Personalized. I said.
It's the only reason you got the interview.
The only reason, actually. And
a couple of people, even though Amir was working there, a couple of people recommended him. We were kind of at quota, so we didn't really need no one. But he sent a video to me. I loved it.
So, take note, guys. Take note.
Made it personal. Sometimes it's
just a quick video, 45 seconds.
Very
was that like a loom, or was it within?
No, literally put my phone up onto like a desk or a glass and recorded it.
It was even informal. He just said, "I'm on my way to the gym."
Yeah, I had my jacket on. I didn't look like any type of.
What was the content? What was the context of the video?
Context. I was like, because I just said to the Wedge, I'm due to meet you, but it's been something I've wanted to do. So it was really, the context is just to kind of reach out. Again, it's just to, like, maybe for example you have an interview stage 1, and then you could mention, I've got an interview, just looking forward to speaking with you, or just kind of give positives or things.
Be memorable as well.
Exactly.
Just stand out, because it's probably
exactly. Just touch base, really.
No one sent me a video before.
Exactly.
Some people sent me voice notes. No one sent me a video.
Wait, so did you have an interview already?
No, people referred him. So I knew of him basically.
Okay.
It was a warmer introduction.
Exactly.
But the video is like, even though people referred him to me, I wasn't not nothing personal, but I wasn't too keen until we sent that video.
Exactly. Yeah, because one of the things that was mentioned when I was starting is that I job top a lot.
Yeah,
which
that
is
was
part
reason
of
why.
the game.
Yeah.
And then obviously, sometimes I feel like if it is the case, and you got to kind of show
why.
And give that exactly. So.
Oh, sorry.
No.
You mentioned job hopping because that's something that I can relate with.
Yeah.
And if it's a place where I'm like, it doesn't align, let me find something that's a bit more better for me. How did you explain that? How did you present yourself and be like, actually, this is what I want to do. I am going to be there for a long time. Like, how did you convince them?
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 30.
30, no worries at all. So yeah, I think for me, I turned 26 in August. I turned 27, and for me, I got to a point in life. I feel like everything's aligned into the point of seriousness.
Yeah.
And I feel like that stability when you need a job that you know that you're gonna want to wake up and go to, that you're gonna push yourself and drive, and you know that if you can push yourself, you're gonna be met with the same exactly the rewards. And I think with what we do in kind of getting into tech and selling in tech specifically, I think that's it's a lifelong profession where you can have that for the rest of your life, 20, 30 years, and be absolutely fine. So I think it's just a mindset, understanding that where you are now, I don't know, maybe what you've done prior, it's not as serious, it's not a sediment, it doesn't feel as,
you know. Restart now, yeah.
Exactly.
To answer your question from our perspective, it's like seeing if he's genuine. Is he genuine, or is he like, you know,
just trying to get another job, really.
Obviously, we interview people all the time, but we can tell if they're genuine or not. So like, was he genuine about like he left these jobs for a reason, or was it just maybe him as opposed to the companies, right?
And what made you think he was genuine? I mean, obviously,
I think it's like he just came across very like he had his. I think that stood up to me massively. He had his goals. He had his personal goals. He had his professional goals. He's like, my personal goals are this, this, and this. I want to do this by then, this by then, this by then. And if I get a job here, it's going to help me with that.
Okay, so laying out your goals are very clear.
You got to back yourself. You can't just say something. You got to have a story behind it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Make sure all the parts of the story
align.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to have everything aligned. Perfect. Okay. Cool. So now we're here, day in the life of what I do, what we do as SDR. So personally, I live on my calendar. I'm always checking Outlook. For my most important clients and important accounts in the morning straight away. If it's a case where I need to call back, I'll write that in the calendar as well. And yeah, first 30 minutes straight away. And then for the next 90 minutes of the day, I will be outbounding. So I'll just be calling out accounts that we don't have business with, just trying to engage new business. Sometimes it's not as instant, which is fine. But that's part of the job, right? You need to obviously build that relationship. And I think that's a key part of what we do here. And then obviously take a little 5-minute break, drink or whatever. And then straight back to it, another 90 minutes. We call it acquisition when you just haven't got any relation, or you may have had previous exactly, and you have previous business with them, just to kind of re-engage, just to again kind of lock in that relationship. Part of the job I think massively is just to build relationships. I feel like people buy off people, regardless of what it is. So if you can build that relationship strongly, I feel like you win a lot of business that way. So that's one of the things I like to do. And then we have something called in life, which is customers that exist as well within the business, within BT. And sometimes they might need a kind of update. Upsell, cross-sell. Might be on a bit of a standard package. We need to kind of upsell exactly. And lunch is at 1 for me. And then we go to the next half of the day, which again I just like to kind of use that to really book meetings. Like sometimes with the first half of the day, calling outbound into acquisition, sometimes truly you're not gonna have instant success right there, depending on how much or how little you spoke. So for me, I feel like I like to use the second half of the day a little bit more to kind of go in with in life and upsell and cross sell and look to kind of build opportunities. Because again, there's things that they might not have with BT, but they still could review and could be with BT or EE at the same time, right? So there's always acquisition opportunities even in the in-life customers, if that makes sense. So then 30 minutes again to send follow-up emails. I'm big on this. I like to email. If they said to email, I'll write a note. I've got email templates, so I'm not sitting there writing the email. I'll just click, email sent, click. And I'll get the email sent out and say, can you send the email? I was like, no problem at all. Typically it is a rejection, it's an objection, but don't let it stop you, because you can then build a cadence. You can then email and then call back after. So I think it's important for me as well. I've won a lot of good business through that. And then the last half of the day, half hour of the day is just to, again, I just like to call at times that they might not be expecting a call, right? Throughout the day they might be busy, and then you say, alright, cool, let's try and get them when things are less busy and they're a bit more quiet. I think that's a key thing for me as well. This half an hour of the day is also kind of used to just like follow any trackers or kind of input any data that I've got for the day, and just to kind of update all my things, because it's important to track your own number, right? And yeah, pretty much that's what a day looks like in a life with me. And yeah, in terms of the skill sets, what I've kind of written down off the top of my head, we'll start off with organisation. Obviously, you're hired regardless of where you go. That business is hiring you, but then you have to be able to run your own business within that business. I'm sure you've heard it multiple times. It's very key because you are creating your own pipeline, you're creating your own sales. So you've got to be on top of what you're doing, of who you've talked to, of where you are. The second one I've written, curiosity. Now, I want to say that you don't need to study, you don't need to go to university, you don't have to have this like ideal pathway. I think being a good sales rep, essentially, is just having that curiosity into somebody's situation. And yeah, I've uncovered as much as possible through authentic conversation. It goes back to being able to conversate well, as well as something which I'm always got to work on, asking open-ended questions. I think it's something you can always develop. There's always room to kind of, again, you just give a platform for the person you're asking the question to speak, right? You want to get the person on the phone to essentially talk as much as possible, right? So that's important for me. Adaptability, I think this is massive. I think that's what separates the average from the best, is that the ability to think on their feet, right? Having that ability to think sharp and quick during the conversation, and having that ability to just lead the conversation as well. Sometimes it's always good to kind of let them speak and say what they say, but always have an end goal in mind. Are we going to book in a meeting? Are we going to schedule a callback? Have a next steps, I think. Being able to kind of adapt to what is going on is very key. The next one, creativity. In this game, when you're calling maybe 120 people a day, you're gonna have people that object, right? More often than not. Get creative with how you counteract them. Doesn't have to be 100% of the truth. It could be about 70% of the truth. You can say, just reaching out, I'm from the call department. I don't send emails. If, for example, sometimes if I don't want to send an email, I don't want to have the conversation, I say I'm from the calling team, right? There's just about ways of being creative. And again, yeah, to not give up after the first order. Somebody said not interested. Oh, really? Oh, that's absolutely fine. I understand you're not interested. Why is it that you're not interested? Kind of just understand and uncover the real objection. I think it's really important. Cool. Another one, driven. Always drive. Knowing your reason why, what we spoke about earlier with my interview and things like that. Just remember why you're in it, right? I think any time in sales, things do get tough. And then, yeah, I've wrote, when you know your why, the how is easy, why is loves that one? It's always choosing that one. And personally, I love it as well. Every single day I wake up, I'm in a relationship 2.5 years. I've got her on my watch, right? So I can see my why almost every day. Pretty much every day. It's
She's watching you, yeah, literally.
Literally. Sharp, yeah. So literally, for me, I understand my why. I understand that that's my future. That's what I want to make my life of. And then, locking back in, it's not going to be an issue, right? So I think whatever your why is, remember that at every point in time, especially when you're in the process of applying, which you all are at the moment, remember your why, because that will drive you through the rejection, through the, sorry, we're not going to take you on, which has happened to me countless of times. Trust me. Next thing, impressionable. I feel like sales, especially being an SDR, is about having that ability to leave an impression on somebody, right? You have to be able to kind of know how to conversate, going back to the adaptability and being able to conversate well, ask good, effective questions, right? I think I was on the train yesterday and there was a guy with a dog and he said, it's a rescue dog from Cyprus. And then I said, so when you got that dog, did that dog have to be spoke to in Cypriot? And he's like, that's a really creative question. I've never asked him that. And that's literally the type of person you want to be. You want to have the questions that no one's asked. You want to be the person that kind of stands out, right? And yeah, obviously for a good reason, just trying to whatever. And then the bonus point, which again I just mentioned, which is my biggest point, is that it's your ability to conversate effectively, right? You got to be able to be quick. You don't want to call somebody and be waffling. You don't want to waste their time too much because you have called them out of the blue, right? So you need to get to the point as quick as you can. And yeah, going back to again what I said before, you don't have to have any sort of like technical tech savvy. You've got to know a little bit, of course, but I feel like the biggest point in the game is to have that ability to conversate. Again, if you're in interviews, right, it's not about being the most technical. It's about showing who you are as a person. That's why they say it's the easiest entry-level job in terms of tech, right? So I think show who you are as a person at all times, interviews, calls, whatever it may be, and you'll stand out from the crowd. And yeah, that's all from me. Yeah, of course, please.
Something about the creativity part, when you're handling objections.
Yeah.
The part that I wanted to just double check, but I did also like is when you said you will say that you're calling from the calling department.
Yeah.
But then if they reject you, but then you call them back again, as from the email department.
Yeah.
How, is that what you meant?
Yeah. So for example, somebody might say, sorry, they're not available right now. If you could send an email, and I'll be like, actually, the emailing department have sent that email out, and it's just really my job to call. I don't really deal with the emails, so I'm just really kind of following up.
Mm-hmm.
And see what they say, right? You never really know.
It's about thinking outside the box.
Exactly.
I really like that one.
Yeah.
It's such a great sort of, it's not even a objection handle. I guess it could be an objection handle,
Yeah.
but it's such a great way of just being creative and
Yeah.
just because everyone's just going to say to you guys on the phone, send me an email. That's a really good way just to get through the noise.
Yeah, so, we've already sent an email. Because 99 out of 100 times, they're not going to check, right? They wouldn't know if the email's been sent. So that's why I said, you can bend the truth.
In your junk, in your spam.
Yeah, it might be in your junk, it could have got lost. There's ways to bend the truth, I think. It's just obviously, be kind of creative in the moment. It's adaptable.
Got a question?
Yeah, sure.
You had ICP, obviously I know what it is, but these guys might not know what ICP is.
Okay.
Do you mind sharing that? And then,
Yeah.
accounts-wise, are they given to you already, or do you find your own accounts? So I guess quite interesting to know what your ICP, what is an ICP, what is your ICP that you contact,
Yes.
and then how do you find leads and accounts? Was that all sorted for you guys?
Yeah, no, so we get given all of us get given maybe what is it, 100, how many accounts do you have on the batch? 110,000 accounts, right?
110,000?
Yeah, so they're all within the area which we can kind of work with.
Wow.
And more as well. There's obviously others that aren't on the patch specifically that we have. But in terms of the ICPs, I think decision makers. So for us, we're obviously services. We provide IT services, right? And for me, obviously, IT managers, finance managers, operation managers, they're the main three. They're the ones we're always dealing with consistently, right? And again, sometimes they are going to be busy, like genuinely. When somebody says, they can't take the call right now, they're on another call. That could be the case. It might not be, but the best chance for me is to call them at the end of the day. I feel like so many of my leads and so many of booked meetings come from that. Because you're catching them off a time where, you just relax, the day's winding down.
Yeah.
And then also to kind of mirror that moment, you're at the end of the day, don't have this wild energy on the phone. I feel like it's just understanding, reading the situation a bit. ICPs, which is
ideal customer profile.
Ideal customer profile.
So that's like the person you want to target within the firm that is going to need your software or whatever you're selling.
Yeah.
And I guess why you choose those IT or finance guys is because they can make the decision on buying software, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're going straight to the top.
Yeah, sometimes it's not directly to the top, but in terms of the decision maker regarding, maybe internet or telephones or mobiles, then that's going to be the ICP.
Nice. Super important, guys. Because when you're doing outbound sales, you want to find the right person within the organisation that makes the decision. So by getting to them, sooner rather than later, you're gonna save yourself time. So depending on what you're selling, what market you're selling, who you're selling to, the ICP, ideal customer profile, will differentiate.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I guess it's just cutting through the noise and getting to the decision maker as quick as possible.
Absolutely, especially I think with BT, obviously with the internet and telephones, right? That's one thing. That's obviously going to be IT manager, things of that nature. But then, for example, we sell mobiles, so we work with EE as well. We represent EE, so you can kind of have that conversation around mobiles, right? So that might be the finance manager or the operations manager, and sometimes, a lot of the time actually, you'll get that the IT manager and operations or finance manager have completely different overseeing, right? So one looks after one, and then another looks after. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So it's dependent. You have to really.
So if one says no to you, can go the other way, right?
Exactly. So there's always kind of ways in, depending on who you're speaking to. In terms of your products, just know who your ICP is regarding the company.
So I guess if you get a no from one person, you're not taking it as a straight no. You might find
Absolutely
someone
not.
else within the organisation.
Absolutely. I feel like
Yeah.
with this game, right, we get Erkan says it, which is the manager at SDR, says a lot. The basic pay, that's what you get paid for, right? And then to work the extra mile and to kind of find the right person, that's where your bonus is made. Because you got to find treasure, right? We're here, but you've got to go out and find what it is that's going to bring you that commission that we're all here for. We're here for money, right? So I think, just understanding the stakes, really. It's at stake every day. Yeah.
I guess I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
More to do like the sort of program. Of course, we met. We
Yeah,
did sort of
course.
together at the beginning.
Of course,
But as I say, like from when we first met and you're doing the call with me to join up
Yeah.
until now,
Yeah.
how do you think the program helps you? How do you think the skills came together?
Um,
Just looking back
yeah,
at the next
good
few
question.
past few
Good
months.
question. It's been really quick. I'll be so honest. It's already May, going. It's like time is flying. But yeah, look, I think going back to everything I said today, my passions are clear. Like my why is clear. I think that's what helps. So for me, again, the course just was the best thing I needed. Really, it was like the kind of boost that you kind of you have all of the tools, right? But the tools don't pick up and use themselves. You got to kind of use the tools. So I think for me, when an opportunity is given, I'm a go-getter. I'm gonna take the opportunity. Like Waj knows my table tennis. I'm competitive in it, so I'm a go-getter, right? That term, which is we all know. And I think the course again, the support is great. I do think that
Good stepping stone.
I think as I said, like it's exactly what you need. Like you've all made the decision to kind of start the course, which is like fantastic. It's top tier because it costs a lot of money. Like let's be honest, like what, £300 and something, £300 a month. If you're not paying that before, like it's not light. On top of everything you've got going on. So I feel like that's the biggest hurdle. And then once you do that, then the real game starts. Of, all right, okay, you want to make a change. Are you willing to put in the work for that change that you want, right? And I think that's where, for me, it was easy because I knew I wanted that change. It's like, that's my biggest motto, is that you want it, but are you willing to do the work for it, type of thing. So I was always willing to do the work, and just Entr Tech's been top tier, and I'll recommend it to anybody that is serious about changing their situation in life,
Love that.
I've got a question.
Yeah, sure.
How was your onboarding process?
Before you-
Like the difference between what you learned at Entr Tech and then how you had to apply it to the job. Like, did you hit the ground running, or did you have like a little transitional period?
I got my first meeting booked within 3 days, so kind of hit the ground running. But I feel like Entr Tech is a great guideline. It's a great basis, right? I think regardless of where you go, every company is going to be different and what they sell and what they do and what their kind of focuses are. And I feel like Entr Tech kind of gives you that kind of guideline to whatever company it may be, right? Because I got here and then I realized, we're really doing like internet. It's more telecoms, isn't it? It's tech, of course, but it's more like direct appliances, your telephone, maybe your internet connection that you connect to on your phone. So I think in terms of that, I'd say it was smooth, but you definitely have to adapt, right? Like it's not going to be like directly everything. Oh, hi. I'll give you a good example, right? Nothing against what we've been taught, right? But the permission-based openers, right? It's for here where we are now, depending on obviously where you are, but for here, it's ineffective, right? Because in the UK, I mean, you hear a lot of American salespeople say, "Can we have 30 seconds of your time?" In the UK, somebody's like, "No." How many times? I promise you, the first 2 weeks I got done because I'm like, "Can I have 30 seconds?" No, you can't. Because honestly, because in the UK, people it's a different culture in it. So I think it depends on where you are. I'm not gonna say don't use it because it's like you can maybe fall back on it if things are going bad, right? But
adapt to where you are.
adapt. I think, don't take everything that you've been been taught as gospel. Like I think there's always going to be ways to kind of merge and like
learn from people.
I feel like regardless of where you are, if you're for example a startup or somewhere less known, you could. I like Armand and Nick. I think they say, "Have you heard a bit about what we do?" And like kind of get sharp and quick to the point. I think you hear a lot of American sales tactics, and I think there's British UK sales tactics. It's completely different. If you use the American sales tactics in the UK, sometimes you get shut. Most of the time, you get shut down. Right? So I think yeah, it's just a case of again adapting and understanding what to use and then what to kind of alter. Because you find out, right? Regardless of what it is, you'll always find out through practice. Like teaching and learning is best done in action anyway, in play. So
what's your go-to then opener? Do you have like a set script, or you sort of
no, I don't. I feel like I always just start the call just kind of building rapport. You say how are you? You know, how are you by the way? Like act as if you're going into a why you called and stop yourself. Say, oh, how are you by the way? I've told that to Fareed, a couple of the guys as well, and they're seeing success. And I think with the UK, I was thinking about this for the last 2 days. The American sales tactics do not work in the UK. You have to ask how you are.
Americans are more friendly, right?
Yeah, exactly. You have to be friendly because everybody here is miserable. Like, respectfully. Yeah, no, honestly. So I feel like being that friendly, asking how are you, how are you today?
Yeah.
You know, just
shows respect.
Exactly.
Exactly. No one's asked me how I am today.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. No
I like you already. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point, literally. So I think, definitely in terms of how I open a call, it's always that, and then get straight to the point quickly, and then from there you can kind of have that relationship. You can kind of, in that bubble of this person cares, like to the degree, like it's not going to be like, tell me about your life, but making sure you're alright, like because you can ask how you are, and then be like, oh no, actually some people say I'm in the hospital, or I'm driving with my family, I'm with my kids, like genuine reasons not to speak on the phone, right? So
would you say you kind of almost enjoy sometimes just getting on the phone and speaking to people?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's the job.
Good energy.
Yeah, exactly. The job, as I said throughout my whole presentation, the job is who you are. It's conversation. That's what sells, right? It's who you are, right? It's not about the product. The product is the best thing in the world. If you haven't got that ability to conversate and connect, build that rapport, it's going to be for nothing, right?
Yeah. And then I know there's a couple other questions. One from me is, I know you had a few late stage interviews which were so close to landing, and then I think you had like a last stage one, and we sort of sat down, we had a conversation around Christmas.
Yeah.
What was it that kept you going like through that? Because I remember you working late hour shifts. Hospitality and Christmas is manic.
Oh yeah.
You're almost working off empties.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
So, like, how did you keep that mindset? Or even like any advice for people going through that process? Because it is tough when you're applying for roles.
It is. It's
managing your day-to-day role.
100%. Day-to-day life. Yeah, 100%. Block time. Biggest thing. I feel like regardless of how you feel or how you're feeling, you show up. If you block time to kind of look for jobs, outreach, do it every single day, even on Saturday. The only time I wouldn't do it is Sunday, admittedly, because I love tennis, so I would play tennis on Sunday. Sunday is my day. I don't want to do anything that is any sort of work related. Because sometimes I'd have to work on Sunday as well, right? But I'd say biggest thing is to block time. I think, if you understand that I've got to do this at this hour or this time of day, know your schedule, and then be able to be like, alright, cool, let's put this time in. I think that's number one. I think number two as well, it will always go back to your why, right? Because when you block that time, how do you feel? Like, obviously you're going to feel deflated, maybe because you've had a long day, you've had shit at work, right? Excuse my language, of course, but you're going to have that, you're going to have those moments, right? And I feel like when you know your why, it can carry you through any sort of hardship ever. And this is where, within Entr Tech, within finding the actual role, this is where you need to tap into your reasons why as much as possible. I feel that is your driving force. And then obviously with the last stage, I thought I was going to get it. But I didn't, it's part of the game. And I feel like, just understanding that there's always like, I believe in God personally, right? And I always said God's got a plan for me, right? Sometimes it might not be your time, but then when it is your time, you'll know and you'll be ready, right? And that's how I feel. So I feel like you continue to prove to whoever you're speaking to that, I'm the person, right? And every single time you get rejected, it's worth saying, is that you're sharpening up. You don't realise it. Every single call, every single interview, every single 30 minutes, you sharpen up, you get better at knowing your why. Right, I think I'll have to give a shout out to this one recruiter. Her name's Belle, and she was like, and she asked me my why, and I said some like really lazy answer. I remember, and it was like 9 a.m. in the morning. I was like, I'm not happy with that. Can you really give me your why? And then that whole point, I was like, I realised my why in that moment, right? And that only came through the rejection. Like, I didn't get that role that I had an interview with, but that conversation was in the rejection. So you'll find gold in every single interview you're doing, regardless if you get it or not. And I think knowing that the gold was still out there on the table, that's what it was. I think a combination.
Just a quick one. So obviously you were able to
let off in the interview what your why was. Was it just a generic question of like why sales? Was that what was asked, or did you just navigate?
Why just not generic?
No.
Dug into it, right?
Yeah, so I think we had a hour and 10-minute conversation, right? And you know, why sales is definitely a question I was asked, right? But it's more so your plan, right? I think anyone that you're going to speak to hiring, they're gonna want to know where you're trying to go, what you're trying to do with your life, which ties into your why, right? And I think regardless, you got to know who you are, why you did this, because you can remember why you're here. For me, I'll give you my why right at the beginning. It was to level up. I love leveling up. I feel like I need to reach that next level every day. I have to be better than I was yesterday. That's my why, through and through, right? So that carries through whatever I do. So to know that, it might be your why, because a lot of us do like to level up, but you don't really realize it, right? So I think being able to tap into your why and then understanding, okay, this is why this. I've said that so many times, but this is where I'm trying to go, right? It's your destination. I feel like you have to have the ability to show your vision, to say, I'm going to this direction, I'm going to this destination by any means, and whatever it takes, I'll get there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Alright, cool, perfect.
I have sorry.
No,
I have
go for it.
one more question.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So obviously you've done like a lot of different jobs,
Yeah.
with working in Five Guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever come across someone that says we're not sure about whether your experience aligns with
What you're looking for.
Yeah, what they're looking for.
I
So
had that
how do you tackle that?
Keep going. Truly.
Yeah.
The final stage that Jack talked about, it was for a company called Lightspeed. They do POS systems for restaurants and shops. We both said it. We was like, this is it. We're gonna. This is the
Perfect for you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I've just done restaurants for 5 years. Maybe probably 10 years as a son, right? And it wasn't meant to be. The guy said, "Look, you're a great guy." I actually got the feedback that I wasn't concise enough, which is separate. You might get that, which is something to work on, of course. But I think going into it, confident, and then I came out of it like, damn, I was shut down.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I was shut down. I was like, damn, this is meant to be the one. And even Jack would tell you the conversation. He was like, you sound deflated.
You're in your last legs.
Yeah, literally. But I feel again, it's the ability to get up. That's not how many times you get knocked down, because again, like the amount of times that you get up is that sharpening of yourself, right? You're gonna understand your why. You're gonna understand what you want to do with your life.
Everything happens for a reason, right?
Exactly. So then because it happened, because the person they went with has been an SDR for a year. I obviously have no SDR experience, but that happened. It will happen, and there will be a time where your impersonation, the impressionable thing that I mentioned, is going to be so strong they'll have no choice but to take you. That's where you want to be, because it's not about your experience at this point. Like, trust me when I say it's your impression on what you have to say in that moment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool, perfect.
Brilliant. Top man, thanks for listening.